and we missed last week kind of unexpectedly. It was all on me because we switched over from Xfinity for our TV and Wi-Fi to Ziply. And yeah, and we were having a little bit of issues with a lot of buffering. And so we had somebody ask, can someone come over? They happened to show up right when we were about to get started to work on our Wi-Fi. So yeah, that didn't work out, but we're back.
That's how it usually happins.
Right?
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Usually it's our gardener that's like leaf blowing right outside the window and, who knows what. But anyways, we're back. And I want to hear from Renee because I know you started your new job. And how is it going?
I suggest to anybody not to take 10 months off because let me tell you what, I think I spoiled I took the last 10 months off, in all honesty, to heal myself and to get better and to self-care and to finish school because I went back to school. But I didn't realize just how spoiled I was. At 9 a.m. I laid out in the sun and then I ate my lunch, like everything. I didn't have a lot to do in my day, but I had a plan. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to eat. Like I don't know how to do anything. 40 hours a week. Oh my goodness. But having said that, Virta Health is amazing. Like
that's awesome.
I have never been in an organization that cared more for its employees and for its patients. And it's just amazing. I had a meeting with the CEO last week. He's absolutely amazing. I don't know if anybody knows about Virta Health, but their goal is to reverse diabetes and obesity in 1 billion people. But when they did their clinical trials, they realized that they also were reversing metabolic disease. So now they've expanded into, we're going to reverse metabolic disease. Our CEO of Virta actually was the founder of Trulia, which got sold years ago and was turned into Zillow, from what I understand.
Yeah, I was going to say Trulia is a real estate.
Yeah. And so he changed into going for health instead, but it's pretty awesome. The company's great. I've learned a lot.
Virta, V-E-R-T-A.
Head's ready to explode.
Yeah. So V-E-R-T-A, Virta.
Yes.
Okay. And so do you have clients that you're seeing throughout the day?
When I'm finished with the onboarding, I'll have 200 of my own, which seems like a lot, but you're doing coaching but we have a lot. It's really an awesome system that we have. They have their own, medical records and everything. And so, I'm told that 200 is not going to be overwhelming.
Okay. There'll be a learning curve, Yeah. So when you actually meet with your clients, how long of an appointment will you have with each one?
I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay. So you're going to figure that out.
Yeah. But I know we like do onboarding calls, and then we do a lot of, chat with them and text messaging and stuff like that. And there's an amazing app. So I recommend anybody who, it is keto based.
Okay.
It's not carnivore, there's vegans, there's vegetarians, there's carnivores, there's keto, there's a kind of a mix of everything. So it's not, it's the only thing that it is agreed upon is it's keto.
Keto. Yeah. I mean, you can get into nutritional ketosis as a vegan.
Right.
You just have to tweak things the right way so that you can.
Yeah. So that's my learning curve is I can do really good at the carnivore keto.
Yeah.
And the keto program I took was a full keto program, and it's, a lot of what's out there is plant-based. I mean, the keto program I was in, they really pushed plant-based.
Wow. Interesting. So you're just going to have to gauge what you're doing based on what the client really wants to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Well, I guess over time you'll get to see whether you have people that, migrate more towards carnivore, or maybe they start out as carnivore, and you'll be able to see the difference in how people respond. Mm-hmm. You might find out that some of the people do fine with on the vegan side. I'd be curious to find out. Like,
yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch and see.
yeah. And if it's maybe disease specific, maybe there's some diseases that can do a little bit, it can do okay with the plants and others it can't.
Right. Yeah. It makes you, I really wonder, if you listen to Dr. Chafee, you get the whole plants are killing us. And him and I've had extensive conversation about autoimmune disease with eating plants versus not eating plants. So you're right. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm one track. I'm like, meat was what saved me. So
Absolutely. I know, me too. I'm like, I did the plant thing, I did the garbage food thing, I've done everything else, and the only thing that really worked and was sustainable was carnivore.
and I did the same thing. So I mean, but that doesn't, they have great success. They did a study and it was published, and they've had great success with just the nutritional ketosis. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, just getting into nutritional ketosis is a huge benefit. So you're probably going to learn a lot about the different tricks and tweaks to make sure that you're in ketosis and find out like how much do you really need to be in ketosis in order to get the results. So awesome. That's good. Someone's messaging me. All right. So awesome. Well, good. Well, hello.
We got
Good.
Jeannie with us today.
Hello, Jean. Awesome. Good to see you here. Anything new with you, Carrie?
Not really. It's just been hot, but I mean, I work indoors and everything. So, I mean, I don't really feel it during the day, but I do see the sun coming in, and I am a summer baby. I mean, I just love the sun and water. Like, I wish so much that I could just be like at the pool or something. But alas, I have to sit at my desk and work.
Yeah.
But it has been very hot. It's been in the upper 90s. And if you do go outside, I mean, you just immediately just start sweating.
Yeah.
And I'm a sweater anyway. I mean, I'm like when I work out or whatever, I mean, I normally sweat a lot anyway. So I don't need any help from the heat. I do not perspire or glow or glisten. I mean, I sweat.
You sweat. All right. But that's good for you. Cleansing here gets very cleansing. So I don't really sweat. So although I think the humidity helps, because I know that I did sweat more when I was in Wisconsin and
interesting.
Chicago. Yeah, I definitely noticed that I wasn't like dripping, but absolutely like, how your skin gets real tacky. I could tell. Yeah, I was definitely there. So that's good for me. So awesome. So since we talked last, so we went into contract on this property.
Oh yeah.
And we had a home inspection done. It showed a bunch of issues. And so we brought a bunch of different contractors in to give us quotes. And it turned out to be a ton of work, more than what we even expected. Like we couldn't even get a 5-year roof cert on the roof. And it was like, it needs to be replaced. There's like a double decker decking in the back that wasn't even bolted to the house. And then it turns out once we got the contractor out there to look at it, he said they used interior wood. So it was not designed, it wasn't treated to withstand the exposure to the elements. And instead of putting solid like posts for support, they just basically cobbled together 2x4s. So there's no way to see the quality of the wood on the inside. And there was some that was like obviously failing. There was like underneath the deck, there was like a cantilever beam that was literally like 8 foot, not even attached to anything on one end. And he said the whole deck needs to be torn down and replaced. So that was like 2 big things. And then we had a whole bunch of issues with plumbing, and there was some minor electrical stuff. Anyway, so we submitted like, okay, we want this off of the house if we're going to proceed. And the owner said, nope, didn't even want to know what was wrong with the house. And so we just said, okay, well, we're walking away. And so we went and looked at some more properties over the last few days, and we found another property, and we're like, okay, we want to put an offer in on this property, and the seller will not take a contingent offer. They want us to just risk, and there's no way we've got a house to sell. There's no way so we're kind of bummed. We just found out today about that no, he refuses to take a contingent offer. And so we're like, well, sorry, we can't take the risk. We've got to have it be contingent on the sale of our home. Otherwise, we're not going to have the funds to,
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
to buy the property. It's close to what we would be selling our home for, and we just can't pull that out of a hat. So we'll see. Oh, my daughter's trying to FaceTime with me. Never. I'm gonna have to let her know. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on, and so we're kind of getting a little bit of burnt out on house shopping or property shopping. And this was good because it was like just under 22 acres, and all of it was usable land and beautiful. And the pasture land, everything was enclosed, and there were separate pastures. So if we wanted to turn it into like regenerative farming with the animals, he already had a chicken coop with chickens. He had a couple of cows that could come with the property, and just the different pastures where you could rotate your animals if you wanted to. That was already set up and for us to do. And my son-in-law was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So yeah, I don't know. We're kind of bummed about that, but it is what it is. But I do have something good that I'll show you guys. So I don't know if you guys were aware that I had been working on a book, and this is actually for our Breaking Addictions group in our Healing Humanity Life. But this is for the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous is applied to a carnivore and ketogenic lifestyle. And it comes with an optional workbook. So they're now published on Amazon. So we have groups on Healing Humanity Life where you go through the material. And the workbook is basically like each chapter has reflection questions, discussion questions. So you don't have to buy the workbook, but the workbook is for it has the lines in it. It has all the same questions, but it has the lines in it where you can fill out your answers. So, but it's designed to gone through as a group, but anyone can go through it individually as well. And
I know somebody who I might just buy it for them. That way they won't have any, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you're not likely to buy something for yourself.
Yeah.
And so, but if somebody does it, buys it for you as a gift and,
Yeah, each one is only $10. I priced it pretty reasonably because I don't want people to be like, oh, I can't afford to spend $25 on a little book,
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Food addiction is, of course, you guys probably know, and dealing with people like in Healing Humanity and Renee with, clients and working with the keto people. I mean, food addiction is a real thing.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of friends and people
in my
life
who struggle. And this is not just
struggle.
Carnivore. It's keto carnivore. So it's written for people who are a keto or carnivore, either or. And it's unlike Overeaters Anonymous, where it's so focused on restrictive eating.
Yeah.
This is not focused on restrictive eating. And because we don't have to deal with that nearly as much when you're dealing with keto or carnivore, it's just dealing with the other aspects of food addiction and not advising restriction and focusing on restriction. So it's basically using keto or carnivore as one of your tools to recover from your food addiction.
So. Excellent. Thanks for telling me about that.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited that it's finally out there. I started working on it last November, I think. Early November, like late November, early December. So it's taken me a while to get it ready for publication. So I'm pretty pumped.
Well, congratulations. Well done.
Awesome.
Thank you. So anyways, well, if you guys are ready to get started, just for anybody who's brand new, I'll just remind that we are going through this book. It is a medical textbook called Ketogenic, The Science of Therapeutic Carbohydrate Restriction in Human Health. It is a very dense textbook. And so this is not a book club where we read in advance and then discuss. We're actually reading and reviewing and talking through as we go. And as you know, it's taking us forever to get through it. We are on chapter 3 because we talk more than we read. And we interrupt ourselves and we reflect and everything. So it does take us a while to get through it. But we're on chapter 3. And I believe we're on page 125, correct?
Mhm. Yep.
We're starting the section for type 2 diabetes. So this should be interesting. Do you guys recall who read last?
I really
I
don't
think it's
remember.
my turn.
Okay. All right. So, and let's see who wrote this section. Anybody we know?
I've heard of Mark Cucuzzello,
Okay.
but I don't.
There's a
know.
ton of authors on this. Oh, Eric Westman. Dr. Westman is one of the authors.
Oh, I see him down there. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really recognize many others. But so actually, page 125 is just the list of contributors to the section. So we actually start on page 126 with the introduction.
Okay.
All right.
3.4.1 Introduction. Type 2 diabetes follows on in patients at risk who have developed insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome and who continue to follow a high carbohydrate lifestyle over many years. As noted in the chapters on metabolic syndrome, damage first occurs in the liver and causes non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, which then progresses to insulin resistance and then the overproduction of glucose from the liver and ultimately frank diabetes. Here, evidence and practical information is provided for the use of low carbohydrate diets in the management and possible reversal of type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
Description. Type 2 diabetes is defined using any of the following parameters. Fasting glucose after 8 hours of a non-caloric fast greater than 7 mmOLs or greater than 126 milligrams per deciliter, or 2-hour oral glucose tolerance test using a glucose load of 75 grams being greater than 11.1 mmol per liter or greater than or equal to 200 milligrams per deciliter, or glycated hemoglobin A1C, which is your hemoglobin A1C, greater than 6.5, which is 48 mmol per mol, or random glucose greater than 11.1, which is greater than 200 milligrams per deciliter in a patient with classic symptoms of hyperglycemia.
Okay.
So basically everything that you see when you're looking for diabetes.
So it only takes one of those. There's
Yep.
four different tests. It only takes one of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Prediabetes is defined using the following parameters. Fasting glucose 5.6 mmol per liter, which is 100 milligrams per deciliter, or 6.9 mmol per liter, which is 126 milligrams per deciliter. So fasting glucose of 100 to 126.
Okay.
2-hour oral glucose tolerance test at 7.8 mmol per liter, which is 140 to 11.0 mmol per liter, which is 199. So blood glucose of 140 to 199 after 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then hemoglobin A1C of 5.7 to 6.4.
Okay.
And it doesn't say that it's one or all of them. It's probably, I would guess that I don't know.
I would think it's any of those. It's weird. It didn't say or.
No.
They're only going to do one of these tests. They're not necessarily going to do all of them, I would think. Usually it's a hemoglobin A1C.
Right. Sorry, I have to tell my son that he needs to call back later. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Clinical presentation. Patients who develop type 2 diabetes may present with a whole spectrum of clinical pictures from asymptomatic and usually only diagnosed during routine screening to a full picture of signs and symptoms of hyperglycemia, which may include thirst, polyuria, fatigue, weight loss, and even hypersmolar, non-keto. Good Lord. I can't even talk today. Non-keto acidosis. Although a severe presentation is rare. In usual practice, patients are screened for testing depending on a number of commonly known factors such as age greater than 45, gender, history of gestational diabetes in women, family history of diabetes, Other raised cardiovascular and metabolic conditions, for example, raised blood pressure and raised triglycerides, physical inactivity, and increased weight, BMI greater than 25. Studies have shown that patients may be pre-diabetic for many years and may decompensate to type 2 diabetes within a fairly short time period.
I have a question.
What is polyuria?
Urinating a lot.
Yeah, penile.
Okay, got to go to the bathroom a lot. Okay.
Yeah, specifically urination.
It's going a lot and it's going a lot. So it's
frequently and a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Volume
frequency and quantity.
Yes.
Yeah. Carrie, I had a question for you because I know your mom was type 2 diabetic. And I remember you mentioned that she didn't start gaining weight until they put her on insulin.
Yeah.
So I know it mentions here about increased BMI as an indicator for do some further testing for diabetes, but that wouldn't have been the case with your mom, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. She was very thin actually when she was diagnosed with diabetes. And she knew something wasn't right. And she wasn't the type of person who went to doctors a lot. I mean, she just didn't. And I guess old school or maybe stubborn, probably a little bit of both. But so when she finally did go, I was actually afraid that she had cancer or something because she had just like lost a lot of weight. And so I was kind of surprised then when it came back. I mean, I wasn't surprised because my grandfather was diabetic. But so, I mean, it was like I knew it was something that it possibly could be, but I just thought it was something worse.
Yeah. So did she have the high blood pressure or the high triglycerides like that prompted the doctor to run some tests?
Her blood pressure wasn't high. I don't remember about the triglycerides. I don't know that I ever knew whether her triglycerides were high or not.
Yeah. It's just interesting to me that if because we know that it goes a lot of times people don't even know and they live for a long time with even in that pre-diabetic state where they're not really having a lot of symptoms.
Yep.
Because a lot of people don't necessarily have these indicators. And I know also from what we've learned that the better test would be the fasting insulin test.
Yep.
Because that's going to tell you if you're headed in that direction. It just seems like it'd be so much easier to just add that to your routine screening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's not, as a nurse, like I don't remember ever seeing a fasting insulin, like ever. The only time I saw one was when I went and requested one from my doctor.
Yeah, me either. And I think, it's interesting. We just got off a call with Healing Humanity and we're talking about labs, and that it came up that one of the people talked about how they went to the doctor, and this was talking about an advanced lipid panel, but the doctor says we don't test for that. But what it really means is insurance typically doesn't cover it. So we're not even going to order it. And that's part of the problem is that, people maybe don't even know that it's an option. Okay, yeah, you may have to pay for it yourself,
right?
But the doctors absolutely can order it.
Oh,
they can order anything they want.
They can order whatever they want,
yeah.
Right? But they may tell you we don't order these labs because they just don't get covered by insurance.
And then my answer would be, okay, order them anyway, and I'll pay for them.
Exactly. Yeah, which is what I did. Yeah, my doctor was really cool about it. He was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Order
it anyway.
But I have known him for years, and I've gone to him. I started going to him back when, like, right after medical school, like when he was new to the practice and everything. And so I've known him for a long time. And so having that relationship probably helped. But he was just really cool with it. And he was like, well, okay, I'll order that. And I remember there was the fructosamine, but then there's another one that the glycated something, I think, was Dr. Berry used to talk about 2 different tests that you could order sort of as a proxy for the A1C because, there's an issue with your red blood cells living longer. And
Yes.
so it can impact.
One of them was an erythrocyte. I think one of them's an erythrocyte. It's not a sedimentation rate, but it's a different erythrocyte lab. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, there were 2 different ones, and he actually
Fructosamine.
spent the time, my doctor spent the time looking to try to find the other test, and he ended up doing the fructosamine because like he didn't see the other one listed as an option that he could pick. So for whatever reason, and then come to find out, I heard later Dr. Berry mentioned that they don't run that other test anymore for some reason, that it's, but this one was it was similar to the fructosamine. It was like a glycated albumin or something like that, I think is what it was called. But they do the fructosamine. So but anyway, my doctor was really good. He, took the time to try to look it up. And I mean,
that's good. So just to clarify for anybody who's watching, if you have an elevated hemoglobin A1C, despite being on a low carb or carnivore diet, the fructosamine test can let you know if it's elevated because your red blood cells are living longer, because that could be. So it's not really a clinically significant elevation. It's just it's a benign situation as opposed to something to be concerned about.
Because my hemoglobin A1C actually went up. And so I had gestational diabetes with both my pregnancies and was on meds, close to insulin with both of them.
Wow.
So I every year get my hemoglobin A1C, and it's been slowly rising and rising and rising and rising. And since I've gone carnivore, it's actually even higher.
Okay.
But my HOMA IR, which looks at your fasting insulin and your fasting glucose ratio, it's perfect. So I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm not putting sugar in my body. There's no way.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So maybe it is for you. Maybe it is your red blood cells are living longer. Yeah, which is good. So the HOMA IR ratio, talk about that a little bit.
It's a equation. It's not like it. I actually use a calculator online because it's not like a easy.
Yeah.
Take this and this makes this. But
MedCalc.
You put your fasting glucose and your fasting insulin in there, and it gives you what the ratio of those two are like. And you want it less than 1 is optimal. Okay. My husband is a little over 1 still. So basically, what it tells you is how much metabolic disease you still have in your body.
Okay.
And your goal is for it to be less than 1. Okay. And I think mine was like 0.9 or 0.8, and my husband's was like 1.3. I mean, it wasn't awful. But when I asked my doctor to run I was like, all I need is fasting insulin and fasting glucose. And bless my doctor, props to him. He's a carnivore, so yeah, he gets it. But I asked him for those 2, and then we actually got the calculator out in his office, and I was like, all right, let's see what the ratios are.
Good.
So, okay, so fasting insulin, like my fasting insulin was 3.8. So I'm trying to figure out how you get the ratio of 1, but then if you're fasting glucose is like,
because it's not a
great ratio, right?
It's not like a straight on.
Oh, okay. So there's other
right. So
math you do.
I'm pulling it up. What was
it probably has to convert it into like units.
Okay, what was your insulin?
3.8.
And what was your glucose?
97.
So your HOMA IR is 0.9.
Okay.
And it says less than 1 means you are insulin sensitive, which is optimal. Above 1.9 indicates early insulin resistance, and above 2.9 indicates significant insulin resistance. I'll put this in the chat where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you. I've done the one, with your triglycerides and your HDL. I've done that ratio before, but I haven't done that HOMA IR.
Yeah. And it doesn't, the calculator doesn't show you how they're manipulating the numbers. So I don't know what the actual real equation is. I just know that there's a calculator.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I would do, is just use the calculator.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Thank you.
All right, moving on.
Complications of diabetes: macrovascular, cardiovascular, and peripheral vascular disease, and microvascular, retinopathy, neuropathy, and I missed. Okay, retinopathy, nephropathy, and neuropathy.
Yeah.
Complications are widespread in type 2 diabetes, even predating the onset of diabetes. Studies have shown that even patients who have concentrations of hemoglobin A1C lower than the accepted for diabetes, less than 6.5%, have an increased risk of cardiovascular disease and worsening coronary artery disease. Mortality rates in adult people with type 2 diabetes from CHD and stroke are 2 to 4 times higher than in healthy individuals without it.
Would that be chronic heart disease?
Chronic heart disease. Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
These complications can be explained in a large part to glucotoxic effect of raised glucose concentrations in the bloodstream. Hyperglycemia raises glucose concentrations in the cells of the body, especially in cells like the endothelial cells and the nerve cells, which do not have mechanisms to reduce the uptake of glucose. At a cellular level, hyperglycemia has been shown to induce 4 major pathways through which excess substrates of glucose metabolism will flux. The polyol pathway, the hexosamine pathway, the protein kinase C pathway, and the advanced glycation end products, AGEs pathways. All these pathways are known to cause damage and increase inflammatory markers such as interleukin, IL-6, tumor necrosis factor, leptin, restin, nuclear factor Kb, platelet-derived growth factor, transforming growth factor, plasminogen activator inhibitor 1, C-reactive protein, fibrinogen, and angiotensin. Gosh, these words.
Yes.
Right.
Vispatin. I haven't even heard of some of these.
I've never even heard of vispatin.
I haven't either.
Retinol binding protein 4, and many other cytokines.
So those are all inflammatory. Those are all inflammatory markers.
That's insane.
Yeah, there's a lot.
In the endothelium, which is where much of the damage takes place, the end result is a reduction in nitric oxide production by inactivating epithelial nitric oxide synthase and inactivating prostacyclin synthase, and then increasing intercellular adhesion molecules and vascular cellular adhesion molecules and monocyte chemoattractant molecule. I don't even know I'm speaking English here.
Do we need to talk through this one a little bit? Because this is
I think we might need to.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. This is one of those paragraphs that I feel like, okay. So they're basically talking about the how hyperglycemia happens.
Hurts all those pathways.
Yes, there's like 4 major pathways that can be a problem for basically processing the glucose in your system.
Right.
When you have too much. So there's a lot of different inflammatory markers so it says all of the pathways are known to damage and increase inflammatory markers. And it lists all these inflammatory markers that can be increased.
Which I find it interesting. If you think about it, the only one that we ever look at is like the C-reactive protein.
CRP, right.
All of that.
Right.
I mean, C-reactive protein is the only one that I know in there.
Well, and it may be, I don't know if this is the case, but it may be that since C-reactive protein is kind of a generalized inflammatory marker, it might be a good one just to kind of get a baseline of do you have inflammation in your body? And then if the answer is yes, then they can drill down further.
I noticed it talked about the nitric oxide, which a lot of people talk about that as it relates, of course, to like blood pressure and heart disease and, blood flow and that kind of thing. And, like the super beats and all of that stuff. The premise of that is to help your nitric oxide. So basically, if you just, limit your carbs, then you can help that tremendously without having to really depend on a supplement. I used to take that a long time ago. I used to take the Super Beets, mix it up with some other stuff. I had a powder, but that's just interesting. I did recognize that.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing that I read that stayed with me was that endothelial cells and nerve cells have no way to reduce the uptake of glucose, I have never, I never read about it. Maybe I did and I forgot about it. Like, why do type 2 diabetics get, it doesn't have anything to do, it's not the blood flow as much as it is the fact that those nerves are getting killed with glucose.
Yep.
They can't do anything with it.
Shh. Sorry, I gotta throw something at my husband. He's got his earbuds in and he's talking to himself.
Oh,
Quit talking to yourself over there. You're distracting me.
I discovered my husband makes noise all day long.
I told him,
squirrel.
I told him, can I ever be on a Zoom call or a live stream without him sitting there and making noise? No.
It's like a little kid that, it's like, I'm here.
I know. But yeah, no, I noticed that. So endothelium, so it talks about the endothelium, and that is basically the lining of pretty much everything in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was interesting to me too. So it says the endothelium is where much of the damage takes place.
I mean, isn't the endothelial lining, you have that lining in your gut too?
Yeah.
That's what lines your gut.
It lines your organs. It lines I think it lines your blood vessels. It lines your nerves. It's basically the first barrier between the inside and the outside as far as any, all your body parts.
Yeah. So if glucose hurts that, then no wonder we all have leaky gut and we all have sick guts.
Yeah, exactly. And the end result is a reduction in nitric oxide production, which is definitely very important to have the proper nitric oxide. Because I wonder if that's why people end up with high blood pressure. Because nitric oxide is important enough. A nitric oxide in your system is important to keep your blood pressure regulated. Just like if we give people, that when they having a heart attack, right? We give them a nitrate. And so it relaxes the vasculature so that your blood pressure will come down.
Wow.
So, and so that's interesting because I was wondering, the link there between, people that are having problems with diabetes, prediabetes, glucose metabolism and hypertension. And I was always taught, well, it's because you got all this syrupy sugar running around in your veins and clogging things, but it sounds like maybe it's the impact on the nitric oxide in your system.
Yep.
Or maybe it's a combination.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking because there's so much. And then of course, it talks about the AGEs, the advanced glycation end products, which we always hear about that. When people talk about supplements and things to improve your health, to improve, your blood sugar or, naturally, or to improve your blood flow. And so it's just interesting then when you hear this broken down like that really if you focus on reducing, the carbohydrate and therefore getting rid of the diabetes, the things that actually cause these problems, you don't really need. Now, sometimes you might need a supplement just because you've got some damage that you're going to have to heal. So you're going to need some help. But in general, and this is the thing too. Our ancestors didn't take supplements. They didn't, it would have never occurred to them to try to superficially take something. If they took an herb or something, it was for healing properties for an acute situation.
They were sick, they take for medicine. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because at the very beginning of this section, it talks about the complications predate the onset of diabetes. So this is where, addressing it early is really important before you're even considered diabetic. You may be on your way to diabetes and already experiencing problems with your vasculature because of your diet.
And it's something that can like sneak up on you, because like you might start, it's like the whole frog in the boiling water kind of thing, as you gradually turn up the heat. So like you probably don't even really notice it much in the beginning. And then it just kind of starts getting worse and worse. And it's gradual until you wake up one day and realize that there's a problem. And I think that's what happened to my mom. I mean, she had symptoms, but it wasn't like a visual, you couldn't tell by looking at her necessarily. I could tell she actually was, she was pretty thin.
Yeah.
But internally, she knew something was wrong. She could feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't assume because someone's thin that they're healthy. And just like, I don't think you can assume that just because someone's overweight that they're extremely unhealthy. I mean, your body's one of the protective mechanisms is to store things in fat. And, so it's, everything I've read, I don't know if Renee, in your training, you learned this too, about how in a lot of respects, people who do tend to store subcutaneous fat tend to delays the onset of a lot of these illnesses. It's not that you're not going to get them, but your body's
you have someplace to store it.
You have someplace to store the toxins.
Right.
And so your fat is actually protecting you, at least pushing out the chronic disease to later. So I saw that for sure in myself, because I didn't become pre-diabetic until I was in my 50s. And I was very obese long before that and had other health issues. But from the diabetes standpoint, my blood sugar was great. My blood pressure was great, and I didn't have problems except for times where I had a lot of stress. Then maybe I'd have some mild hypertension. But yeah, it was definitely more of a protective thing to store it in fat. So interesting. All right. So do we understand that enough to move on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Ooh, we've got some interesting charts coming up on the next page.
We do. Yes, I see that.
Oh.
All right. In arteries, the inflammatory milieu of diabetes.
You know what? We already actually should have pulled those charts up with the last one. It says studies it's in the last section. Studies have shown that patients may be pre-diabetic for many years and may decompensate to type 2 diabetes within a fairly short time frame. So let me find that chart. Let's see.
And Jeannie says she knows why she's never wanted to be a biochemist.
Yes.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Those are some challenging words.
I'll tell you, as a nurse, I have the hardest time with medication names. I am the worst at pronouncing stuff. That paragraph was very, very challenging for me.
Whoever decided to name these things was a bit of a masochist.
Right.
Yeah.
How difficult can we make this?
Right. Okay, so let me see if we can make sense of these. So the write-up on these charts it shows the progression to type 2 diabetes over time. So it says 505 patients who developed type 2 diabetes, which is, you can't see the colors here, but it's a blue line. And so in the top left chart, the blue line is the bottom one. All the others, the blue line is the top one. So I hope that makes sense. So the blue line. So those are patients who developed type 2 diabetes compared to 6,033 patients who were non-diabetic. So graphs A and B, so those are the top two graphs, show increasing insulin resistance and beta cell failure. Whereas the graphs on the right, okay, so the left two graphs show insulin resistance and Yeah, beta cell failure. Whereas the graphs on the right show worsening fasting glucose and 2-hour glucose readings on an oral glucose tolerance test. So it says HOMA2 percentage, homeostasis model assessment, insulin sensitive. Okay, this is just the study, I guess, name.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see if this makes sense.
Okay.
So the ones on the left show increasing insulin resistance.
So table A is the insulin resistance. Table B is beta cell failure. So
Okay.
the two A's.
So as the insulin resistance is getting worse, the beta cells are failing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the tables on the right are showing worsening fasting glucose in 2 hours. So as your fasting glucose levels are getting worse, and your oral glucose tolerance tests are getting worse over time,
Mm-hmm.
you're
Yeah, you can definitely see that spike.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think maybe what it's showing is that it's still increasing even before you see the spike. It's maybe not increasing as bad, like it's not dramatic, but it's still, your fasting glucose is going up, the oral glucose tolerance test is trending upward, and then all of a sudden it spikes up into the diabetic realm.
And whereas the line, especially like in B, you can see that the line on the bottom, which is the green, I guess like non-diabetic people, yeah, it's very consistent. It just stays pretty much the same.
So it's kind of like what you said, your mom was not feeling great, but there was nothing really wrong. And so she was just doing that little bit, and all of a sudden it just jumps up, and all of a sudden you have diabetes.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Keto Simple. So good evening. Just showed up in my feed and figured out what's going on. Oh my gosh. What's going on is we're trying to figure this material out.
Trying to pronounce some hard words.
Trying to pronounce a lot of hard words and figure out basically the bottom line right now that I'm getting is that you are, even before you become diabetic, your body is still you're damaging your body before you actually have it show up in tests or in symptoms.
Yep.
The damage starts long before it's going to show up for your doctor.
Yeah. And then as we talked about before as well, the main test, I think, which would be that insulin test, the fasting insulin, that one right there would definitely give you a heads up, because that spike in insulin causes a lot of issues and then eventually you just can't deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
So like you can have the fasting glucose, and you can have all of that, and you can even have the A1, the A1C, but it's that insulin just spiking higher and higher, and insulin is a growth hormone. So
yeah. We have a question from Bill Cook. Are any of you in Dr. Kiltz's coaching class? I am not.
No, I'm not either.
No.
We're just learning this together.
Renee's working as a health coach, already certified. Yeah. So you went through all of your training. But no, I know people who are in his class. So I know he's in the beta testing phase right now of having a bunch of people try it out. But yeah. So I guess the question is, are you in it, Bill? And if so, how's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to cancel with Dr. Kiltz. I can't remember. I think this last Monday I was supposed to be on him. I was supposed to do his 3:00 in the afternoon or 5:00 in the afternoon, 3:00 my time. And I had to cancel because it was my just started a new job.
Yeah.
Couldn't be like, oh, you guys, sorry, I got to go for a little while. So yeah, I felt really bad because
back on his show a little bit later this month. I've been on at least a couple times. Oh, okay. I believe this is the book Dr. Nelson mentioned. Probably is. Yeah. This is basically the textbook. If it looks like this. Yeah. This is the kind of the go-to textbook. He says it's going.
Well, at least it's not gone. So there you go. It's going still.
right?
Yeah. All righty.
So if we finish this section, the little bit left on, and then the stuff on 127 will be a good place to stop
I
on
think so.
128.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be a good place to stop.
Okay. I'm going to struggle through it. We'll
You
get
can do
there.
it.
I think the worst paragraph is done.
Right.
All right. In arteries, the inflammatory milieu of diabetes causes changes in activations to the epithelial cells, which promote coagulation and thrombosis in the arteries. Platelets are activated. NO is
Nitrous
depleted.
oxide, right?
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
you're right. And angiotensin 2 increases, promoting vasoconstriction. The first step in the formation of atherosclerotic plaques is the uptake of oxidized LDL cholesterol particles simultaneously with the adhesion and uptake of monocytes.
Can I interrupt here for a moment?
Yep.
Okay. So this is where people are like, okay, just because you find LDL where at these sites does not mean LDL is the cause of the problem. And this is what we're reading here. The problem is the inflammation of the endothelial cells, the lining of the arteries become inflamed because of all the glucose. Your body can only handle so much glucose, and honestly, we produce the glucose that we need. We don't need more than what we produce. So your endothelial the cells of the vascular system become inflamed, and that promotes coagulation, thrombosis in the arteries. The LDL is part of like Carrie Mann talks about all the time. It's just because the fire trucks are there every time you see a fire doesn't mean the firemen started the fire, right?
Or it's like the spackle that you're putting over it to fix it. It's
right.
a repair.
Doesn't mean that that's what caused the problem.
Right.
It's there as part of the recruitment to try to repair the problem.
Well, and it says it's oxidized LDL. That doesn't mean it's a nice, big, fluffy commuter LDLs that take around all the good cholesterol.
Yeah. Good point.
Okay. In the subendothelial space, monocytes change to macrophages, which then ingest oxidized LDL cholesterol particles, eventually forming foam cells. Cytokines are released, which promote the translocation of smooth muscle cells to the area and further increase growth of the plaque. Stable plaques are usually formed, but ongoing inflammation can destabilize the plaques. Matrix metalloproteinases, are released by the macrophages, which appear to thin the fibrous cap and make it susceptible to rupture. This helps to explain the proliferation of plaques that occurs in diabetes and the propensity to peripheral vascular disease, coronary artery disease, cerebral artery disease, and other vascular disease processes.
Right. And so when you're talking about plaques rupturing, they're being released, and you're more likely to have a stroke if it's big enough to clog an artery. It can go to your brain, your heart, your lungs. You can get pulmonary emboli. Yeah. So this is where it's the inflammation, ongoing inflammation that causes the destabilization of the plaques.
Yeah. My dad had a stroke like 3 years ago from a carotid artery plaque that got loose. And he was sleeping when it happened. And it wasn't like he was doing anything. It just, Yeah.
Right. So you lowering the inflammation, even if you have the plaque, is going to put you at lower risk of this happening.
Right. Doesn't destabilize them.
Right.
Spikes of glucose that last for more than 16 hours to concentrations of 8.6 mmol per liter, which is 154.8 milligrams per deciliter, have been shown to cause epigenetic changes in the promoter of NF-κ beta subunit P65.
How you thought you were done with all this?
In the aortic epithelial cells. At least I could pronounce it all.
Isn't that like necrosis factor? Isn't that what the NF is?
Oh, that might be.
It is. Yeah, you're right. It's the necrosis factor. These effects are caused by hyperglycemia-induced ROS.
So reactive oxidation
Thank you.
species.
Formation in the mitochondria. Increased concentrations of
Necrosis factor.
necrosis factor P65 causes increased concentrations of MCP1, which recruits plasma monocytes in the early stages of atherosclerosis, and VCAM1, which promotes monocyte adhesion to the arterial epithelial cells. These changes can persist for 6 days after normalization of glucose concentrations, and highlights the dramatic and long-lasting effects even short-term hyperglycemic spikes can have on cells.
Okay, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Which is why, people are like, oh, well, I have a cheat day and I eat whatever I want like one day a week. And this is why you shouldn't, because you
It
undo.
lasts 6 days.
Which means that
That's
if you have a cheat day every Sunday, that means that you're never out of that.
you're never healing.
Right.
Yeah, you just keep starting over, and then you wonder, you're like, but I'm so good the rest of the time. I mean, we've all done it. I mean,
so people say, oh, I only have one cheat day, right? Or,
Right.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Bill.
yay.
Yes, you can definitely. We have, like, seriously, we've been doing this for a long time, and we're very slow going through all this. So if you want to catch up, no worries. You'll probably catch up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hello. Awesome. Well done, Renee. Yeah. So it's important, it's talking about a glucose spike causing 6 days worth of ongoing issues. So even if someone's like, well, I just have a drink once a week, or I just have a dessert, or I have whatever is going to spike your glucose, or I have a salad, maybe not as much of a spike, but you're basically like, once a week, is it hurting you? Yes, it is.
Yep.
Yeah, you're constantly, you never get a chance to repair.
That's insane, because then it doesn't matter how much fasting you do, or how much, cold plunging or heat or anything, all these things, because you're still hurting it.
I'm highlighting this because that's like super, super interesting, important to know.
Yeah. I knew it did damage, but that it lasts so long. So that does make sense. If a person has a cheat day once a week, you're just starting over.
Right.
Every week.
It says spikes of glucose that last for more than 16 hours to concentrations of greater than 154 have been shown to cause it. And so, if you have a cheat day and you're eating 3 meals or 4 meals during that cheat day, and all of it is spiking your glucose.
Yeah. So what does it take to spike glucose up to above 150 to 154.8? Do you know?
I don't have. I never wore a continuous glucose monitor, so I really couldn't tell you like what foods affected it versus not.
Yeah.
I'm interested in wearing one just to see. I never have worn one either, and now
I have two sitting here, and I bought one for my husband and I so we could try them. And I don't know if I'm scared to see like the things I do eat, which is not. I mean, I know it's all me, like, and ferment,
but that would be interesting. We used to do this with Kim, and Kim wore a glucose monitor, and it was really. She was glad that she did it. It really showed her a lot.
And sometimes things that you think would spike it didn't. Like things that you would think might be worse. In other words, different people have different reactions depending on there again, just many factors of your body, how you evolved, your ancestors, everything, like how you process food. And so something that like somebody might spike up, for example, on rice, whereas another person wouldn't. Like as an example, I wonder if I would spike up on potatoes. It's really weird though, because like for my birthday, for example, I went to a Steak and Shake because they cook fries in tallow, and I had that as a treat, and it did not feel like it affected me at all, like in terms of just how I feel, because normally if I do eat something that's off plan, like pistachios, I'm not going to do that again. You can tell that it makes you feel bad. And I don't know I guess I would just be curious to know like how bad
Yeah.
a small order.
Maybe the fat helped.
Yeah.
Like, right, because you're getting good
Right.
fat with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
You have
afraid, like,
to
I eat a lot of chicken now, and but I eat high protein. I'm not protein sparing, so I eat like over 150 grams of protein a day.
Yeah.
And so
Maybe that's why your hemoglobin A1C is a little higher too, because
right.
yeah, like Bill says, protein can spike
Oh.
it. Yeah, and even meat has glucose
So I
naturally.
kind of think that maybe I should wear it just to see.
You should.
Yeah, do it. I'm curious.
And I know that the studies and stuff that have compared the spikes with fat versus protein versus carbohydrates, the protein doesn't spike it nearly as much as a carbohydrate.
And the fat doesn't at all.
Yeah. So I'd be curious to know if protein would spike it over the 154.
I wouldn't think it would. I just don't think
I'll have to put it on and try it. Because I mean, I think that we've had this conversation before. I'm not low fat, but I went higher on my protein so I could get my thyroid back under control. And so my fat is like at 50 to 60%. So I'd be interested to see.
Yeah.
I'll put it on.
Renee, I don't understand what that means.
Greatest of all time, or like
greatest of all time. That kind of goat.
The goat, yes.
We're talking protein, so I thought maybe it's goat.
Yeah, I definitely don't eat everything in front of me.
Or at least that's how I interpreted what he was saying.
You know what? You're probably right, because that's what goat is. But I'm thinking
I'll try it out.
Yeah.
I think in this last paragraph I could pronounce everything.
I think so.
Glucose toxicity is also known to occur in the insulin-producing beta cells of the pancreas. This ultimately leads to a relative reduction in insulin production, which reduces the glucose-lowering ability of insulin in the liver. Hyperglycemia may then also be explained by the inability of the pancreas to produce enough insulin to suppress glucose production from the liver.
Okay, so glucose toxicity. I wonder if they're going to talk about that a little. It doesn't look like it. That's intriguing to me to hear about glucose toxicity in affecting the pancreas.
So then you don't.
To do with the endothelial cells being affected.
Right. So glucose toxicity causes insulin the pancreas not to produce the insulin.
Mm-hmm.
And then that also lowers the ability of insulin to work in the liver.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have as much insulin,
and then you don't produce enough insulin to suppress glucose production from the liver. So then your liver is producing more glucose than it should. So it's nasty. It's just like
so I'm assuming, it doesn't say this, but I'm assuming that it affects the cells of the pancreas the same way it's affecting the other cells, because it's affecting the endothelial lining. And so that's an assumption. It's a leap I'm making, assuming that that's the process. So
yeah, that sounds logical to me.
Yeah, because I mean, if like we read, it does impact the endothelium, it's going to be everywhere.
And then, of course, that to me, that sounds like it's also leading up to the fatty liver too, because as the liver gets fatty, it's because of all of that. So that's what I'm thinking, that it doesn't say that, but I'm thinking that that's tied together.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, in the very first paragraph in the introduction, it does say that the damage first occurs in the liver.
Yep.
And causes the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So it does start in the liver.
So we've come full circle with it.
Mm-hmm.
So the worst thing we did as a civilization was start eating sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. So awesome. Well, that is a good place to stop, because it's a logical place to stop. So page 128 is the next part where it talks about managing the patient. And again, since this is a medical textbook, it's going to be about management from a medical standpoint.
Well, this will be really good to dive into, though. I think it'll be a really useful section because it'll be some of the how-tos.
Yeah.
Although they'll be complicated, I'm sure it'll be said in a complicated way, but it'll get into the, like, what do you do now kind of thing.
Yeah, the next section after that is called Education on Carbohydrates. There's some good, interesting, looks like nutritional information about carbs and carb content of different foods.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, this will be a very educational section.
Oh yeah, lots of interesting diagrams in this next upcoming several pages. So, and again, this book is on ketogenic. So even though we're carnivore, the book itself isn't carnivore necessarily. It's ketogenic. So we will be talking about, some carbohydrates. Let's see. So being carnivore, we make way less insulin than we used to. Yes, definitely. Hi, Abby. Oh, hey, have a good night too. I have to say, I have not filmed an update on my channel for quite a while, and I am long overdue. So I'm glad that we're having this live stream so that people on my channel can see I'm still alive.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, because I really haven't done anything exclusive to my channel either in a while.
Yeah, I mean, with us looking for a property, we've also been working on getting our house ready to sell. And we've tackled this project of cleaning out our garage, which includes attic, attic is above the garage. And we've got two kind of big storage closets in the garage as well. And man, we accumulate.
That's a big job.
It's overwhelming. So, how you pull all this stuff out and you're trying to stage it to figure out what do we keep? What do we trash? What do we donate or sell? Yep. And then you get all the stuff out of there and you could just your mental paralysis as you're looking at it going, this is overwhelming. Why did we keep all this stuff? I don't know.
Last summer, my son and his wife came and helped me clean out my storage room. And then I've also got this other storage closet that's outside too. And I bless them is all I can say. I mean, I got rid of so much stuff. They hauled a bunch of stuff to the dump. We took a lot of stuff to the Goodwill, but he has this big dually truck. And I mean, he left with a big giant load of stuff to go to the dump and then another load of stuff that we took.
That helps because we don't have a truck. So we're having to try to get stuff out of here between my daughter's SUV, my husband loading his trunk up with trash and stuff that we can get rid of. So I told him if we had I'd love to have big trucks, just park. We got 3-car garage. So park one in each bay and just let us say, okay, trash here, stuff to go to, store. We've been packing things up and taking them into my husband's hangar where we had the airplane parked. Get them out of the house. And so we've got a section for hangar and we've got a section for donate. And I've sold some stuff on Facebook Marketplace. So it's just slow.
I feel your pain. Remember, we moved here from Hawaii last year. So when you're paying by the size of what you're bringing over, we got rid of so much.
Yeah, I can't wait to be through and done with it. I know it's going to be worth it in the end. So yes,
I enticed my son. I told him, I said, look, we can either do this now or we can wait until I kick the bucket and then you're going to be grieving and going through all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. And you're probably going to accumulate more stuff. It's probably not a bad idea to do this periodically.
Yep.
We did this in 2014 and it was a huge task. So it's been 11 years since we did this. It's amazing, all the stuff.
And you don't realize how much you accumulate until you start looking at it again.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
Yeah, let's see. So question, hi Lynn, did you do a ketogenic diet before full carnivore? I did for about 2 years. I was still quite an addict at the time. And so I did a lot of keto treats. I was still feeding my sweet addiction. And I was so excited about just doing a keto diet because I could make all these fat bombs with all of the sweeteners and it just, It did. I did lose some weight, but I feel like it didn't really heal my illnesses. So then I quit doing it and got just a lot worse before I found carnivore. But yeah, I definitely tried. Aunt B says to Renee, have a terrific evening. Awesome. Can someone put links to all of you ladies in the chat for us, or the subscription description, maybe? Description.
Yeah.
Yes. And actually, I think you can, I'll put a link. Let's see. If you guys can all put your links in the description for your YouTube channels. I'm going to put
Let's see.
carnivore. I don't know. Maybe I should go to my actual YouTube channel and find the link.
That's what I'm doing now. I'm like, let's see.
I'll copy and
Do
paste.
we have a description that I could be cutting and pasting onto my YouTube notification?
I think I've got you listed in my. I think
I need to go to yours and I need to cut it from yours or copy it from yours and then put it on mine too.
Okay, well, I just put mine. I just put mine in the chat.
Yeah, I'll put mine in there.
You put yours in there.
I'm getting to mine.
Okay. Yeah. You got it.
View your channel.
So yeah, so I think I need to. I think I'm gonna. I might do. I usually do like my updates on how things are going with my health on Mondays, but I might just do a random video just to let everybody know I'm still here.
Yeah.
You know,
I haven't even had time to do a short, like 2-minute.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a lot of work having a YouTube channel, and some people are really good at posting constantly. And I was doing it. I think I have over 300, maybe even more videos on my channel. Let's see. Oh, I have 412 videos on my channel. So I feel like I have a lot, and I'm trying not to beat myself up over taking a little break.
I only have 41 videos.
Let's see. How many?
And I wonder how many of those are
watching Tiffany's channel. Awesome.
How many of mine are live stream, like from either our Thursday night live stream or.
Yeah, well, it does help to have live streams, and so that keeps things going. But also, well, I'm glad we got to meet this week. We're gonna, no more Ziply guy coming in to mess with our Wi-Fi. I can't even talk. Wi-Fi. Yeah. Hopefully everything's been running smooth ever since they just had to tweak some stuff, but yeah. So you guys will, and so Renee, you'll adapt to your work, but I'm glad you were able to make it on time. But if not, let me know. You can always join us a few minutes late.
No, my schedule changes to 7 to 3:30, and this live stream is at 4:30. Now, when the time changes, if we stay at the 4:30 your time,
it'll be 5:30 your time.
It'll be 5:30 my time. So
it's only going to get more flexible for you as far as time. It won't get earlier. Yeah. It'll Arizona and you're like
all of you guys, and you're changing.
That's comments. Right. It's Arizona's the time zone rebel of the country.
I don't want to change. I want it to just stay one or the other.
Yeah. So I moved from Arizona to Hawaii, back to Arizona, and it's always 3 hours difference because neither state does daylight savings.
Interesting. I didn't know that about Hawaii.
I didn't either.
Well, we don't need to. There's no extreme weather, and
you just have to, when you're communicating with other people, you have to kind of figure out which relative time zone you're in.
Yeah, it was very difficult. My sister lived on the East Coast in Virginia, and I lived in Hawaii, and it was like 8 hours difference sometimes. Like we almost never talked because it was so difficult to, like, when I'm starting my day, she's already ending her day.
Yeah, definitely. So Keto Temple's from Arizona, but is now in Indiana. So now on Eastern, and have that time change. That must be a little bit of an adjustment. Yeah, I've only, other than a semester back east in college, I've always lived on the West Coast and been Pacific time frame. So, but awesome. Okay. Well,
All
thank
right.
you guys. Thank you everybody who was here and putting up with us and are trying to figure out all these big words and try to understand all this crazy biochemistry stuff. I think we got the high points. I think we got the gist of it. So
I think we did. And
Yeah.
next time is going to be a great one. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I enjoy it anyway.
Hey, Dustin. Good to know. I'm going to have to write
Hi,
that
Dustin.
down. The
I
keto-
knew that at one point, Dustin. So
Love
I'm
it.
glad you refreshed my memory because
Yeah.
I know I've talked to you before.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody have an absolutely wonderful evening. Thank you guys for being here. And we're going to go ahead and sign off and say goodbye.
Goodbye,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.